I love the residential real estate, and I love both quality and holding long term. Quality for me means a nice single family homes or a duplex or a fourplex in a good part of town. Doesn't have to be the luxury part at all. That's for me is very stable environment for investing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Estate Investor MBA. My name is Tejas Gosai, and I've had the honor of helping hundreds of investors achieve the American dream by creating generational wealth through real estate. I've spent the past few years interviewing the most knowledgeable experts I could find in the business to cut your learning time and conquer the hardest subjects in the game. Check out rei.mba, which my team and I have packed with over 75 interviews and free access to our real estate roadmap, webinars, and publications. If you're listening, I am rooting for you, and you're already on your way to financial freedom. Cheers and happy hunting. As always, thank you for making it to the program. I love what I get to do here on Real Estate Investor MBA. Picking the guests, making sure that we're covering the most knowledgeable subjects, right? We've had Kim Daly on recently who talked about franchising and how that is beneficial to high net worth individuals or folks that are trying to change careers. We also had Curtis May. Please check all of these out on our website, rei.mba. Neil Bawa, I've mentioned him a couple times, has $1 billion assets under management. They call him the mad scientist of multifamily. Brilliant guy. Zach Booth, who has developed an app that helps you contact sellers through augmented vision in your phone. So you can be on the street looking at a house and collect information, contact that person. Please take a listen. This whole podcast is a tool for me to be able to advance my own knowledge in my commercial real estate business and, more importantly, my private equity fund that I have built over the past few years. And to be a strong fiduciary for capital and for high net worth individuals, you have to know what you're doing. So I'm very passionate about this program. Please check out some of the past interviews. Today we have Dani here, Dani Beit-Or. By the age of 26, Dani was already ex-Israeli Special Forces. He had an engineering degree and was working for an Israeli high-tech company. About that time, he realized that working for others was certainly not the way to build wealth. So he made a decision to embark on a journey and to chart his own path to financial freedom. With over 20 years of experience investing in the U.S. real estate market, Dani uses his knowledge and expertise to secure financial growth for beginners to experienced investors. Since 2004, Dani has worked on over 5,000 investment transactions, helping investors to build strong real estate property portfolios by investing in various U.S. metros. Super brilliant guy. And you want to have folks share what they're doing today. And that's one of the things I try to get right into. Dani helps both beginners and experienced investors by customizing each strategy based on experience, age, goals, knowledge, and financial abilities. He's developed a series of online seminars, classes, and videos so that anyone who is interested in real estate investing can learn the principles and benefit from his knowledge. All the information to get a hold of him is in the show notes. And I love you guys. Enjoy the interview. Cheers. We have Dani here with us today. Dani, thanks for making the show. Love your resume. I just told everyone a little bit about yourself. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Definitely. You have a lot of things going on, and we're going to talk about a few topics, but just quickly tell me some highlights about your resume and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Israel. I was born and raised in Israel and went to the Israeli military, spent 3 years mandatory service in the special forces. So if you have to make it to the special forces, even though it's mandatory, you have to volunteer. So it's not, you can't just go there just because it's mandatory. After that, I've done my 4-year, got my 4-year engineering degree in Israel. And while getting my engineering degree and then transitioning to my first, I call it my first adult high-tech job, which was paying relatively well, for the years before I started asking myself tough questions about real life economics. So I got my engineering degree, which had economic, part of it, part of the school, but that taught me absolutely nothing. When I started my adult life, I felt somewhat real life finances illiterate, and I started teaching myself, going to courses. We're talking about the year about 2000, give or take, depending, exactly where that framework. And while I was teaching myself, while I was attending, lectures, there was no in the internet was around, but it wasn't as developed as it is today. Um, then I kind of slowly progressed into investing in U.S. real estate while still living in Tel Aviv.
Bravo.
Yeah. So buying
That must have been crazy. I
crazy.
know I'm from India. Moving money is not easy from one country to.
Yeah. So I always joking with myself, like talk about, kind of remote investing is what I do for the past 20 years. And that couldn't be far remote than that. There was no Google Maps, no Google Satellite. Google was a startup, right? I feel so old. Google was a startup. It just makes me, and we use MapQuest.
I
And,
remember that.
I bought it completely sight unseen. I flew out there eventually when I was already under contract, but it was like, compared to all the tools and and website and information we have online today, that was like really dark ages, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then in 2004, I fell in love with real estate by buying my first property. Scrap literally every dollar that I have in my bank account, I put into that. So when I left the closing, I had maybe, I don't know, $200 in my bank account, and I knew the next salary is coming. So it wasn't like, oh my god, what have I? It was, oh my god, what have I done? I knew the next salary is coming, maybe 2 weeks or something like that. So I wasn't intimidated. I was also very young, so I told myself, something happens, I have plenty of time to kind of
Fix it.
recover, so to speak.
How old were you at
I
that time?
was, I think, 26 or 27, something like that.
Bravo.
Um, which, it kind of funny in Israel. Sometimes for me it sounds young, but in Israel, because of the military, everything gets delayed. Like in real life progression, the military pushes your life compared to other countries or other people in other parts of the country 3 to 4 years easily, because sometimes you have to wait a year until you start the military, and then the military holds you for 3 or sometimes more years. So it's kind of everything is pushed. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yep.
So here we'll catch up to speed now. Now, how many units, investors? Can you talk about some of the highlights?
Yeah. So in 2004, but I didn't say in 2004 because I fell in love with real estate. I moved to the States, my wife and I had one clear goal. I want to work. I want to continue investing in real estate, but I also want to immerse myself in real estate to get better at it. And I found the passion of not just investing, but for me, the passion still is working with others, right? That's what fulfills me. So since 2004 until today, I have helped other investors, normally typically a couple or a person, not companies, not corporations, like real people, right?
Right.
Buy somewhere in the ballpark of 5,000, rental units, rental doors, mostly single family homes, duplexes, fourplexes, for the most part. So something, I stopped. I lost count
Yeah.
years back. Yeah.
It's clear though that you've helped a lot of people. You've moved a lot of weight. I love the unit count stuff. I think it's important for new time listeners to hear, where you were to how big you got here. I love it that you shared your age. Let's bring it right to now. You have investors, you have people that you're coaching, working with. Everybody is kind of in a weird flux. It's
Yeah.
first of the year. It's 2023. A lot's behind us. What are you talking to people about? What projects are you looking at? What do you have going on?
Yeah, so I think that's really a really good question because you know what, after doing it for 20 years, I found that every era, every period or phase, there always a main question being asked, right? So right now is like more, I think people are looking for guidance, what to do, because on one hand, there's a lot of when I'm reading everything, I'm confused, right? The companies are, there are layoffs, but if you really read behind the title, the news title, then you see the layoff are not massive numbers, right? It's not small numbers by sense, but sometimes when companies saying they're firing 1,000 people, it's maybe like 3% of the workforce. Again, not pleasant to be one of those 3%, but it's not massive, right? Then when my wife and I want to book get out, for a dinner, which every once in a while we do either by ourselves or with friends midweek evening. You can find a place at the restaurant, right? So there's always the stock market is doing this, crypto is doing this. So there's a lot of confusion, right?
FTX.
FTX, right? That even adds more and more to it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of confusion, like and what I have found over the years of investing, I've started investing in 2002, really picked up the pace in 2004 and 5 and 6, and then I hit the crash, right? So the crash of 2008, that's my PhD in real estate investing. I came experienced into the crash, but I came out, yeah, I had to dive into so many nuances and aspects of investing. It really taught me a lot and refined my formula. And maybe there's few things I can share that like if I refine everything, that those are the key things I would take. Yeah, so first of all, I love the residential real estate. In the U.S., I'm talking about the U.S., the residential real estate, and I love both quality and holding long term. You buy quality. Quality for me means a nice single family homes or a duplex or a fourplex in a good part of town. Doesn't have to be the luxury part at all. Upper middle class, middle class, lower middle class, good schools, attracting that family with the kids and the dog or maybe two dogs. That's for me is very stable environment for investing, right? It may be not
the second dog matters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. So it's very liquid type of real estate. It's not necessarily cash cow, but it's very solid, very stable, right? So that's the type what I say quality. That's for me. That what translates, right? A lot of people
and single family homes and townhouses, things like
exactly,
that.
Right?
Duplexes, twins,
duplexes, fourplexes, sometimes triplexes is not a very popular product.
Sure.
Fourplexes, but even when I go with the duplexes and fourplexes, I try to find those quality that look and behave a little bit like the single family home, the simple single family home,
like a backyard, having a garage, parking,
backyard, ideally, right? Ideally, back, maybe
continue though.
Yeah, 3-2, yeah. So kind of that's there's obviously it's a range, but I'm trying to quality. I think when people ask what quality is, sometimes it's better to ask what is not quality. And I think it's easier to answer. I know this piece of property, let's just say an older home, a smaller home, in not necessarily the best part of town. It's not a quality property or investment. Now, it's not that you cannot invest there. I'm not saying, but this is more, for me, that type of an investment is a little bit more speculative compared to the less speculative single family home duplex in a better part of town that attracts those type of tenants that normally the chances of their inherently having problems of paying are reduced. It's not zero, but just reduced.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's number one, quality. Easy to understand. Many people just don't really internalize it.
Yeah.
The second thing is long term. And long term, the main reason I love long term, for me, long term is I'd say 7 years or more, ideally 10 or more, but let's just call it even 7 to 10 years. Why long term? When you buy quality in long term, inherently you're hedging, right, against the economical times. So that means if you bought at the peak or at the valley or in between, either way direction, when you're going to hold a property for 10 years, it's very likely you will hit some sort of a downturn, right? Statistically, there's maybe a downturn on average every 10 years there's something, right?
Right.
So that is you are going to be buying quality, and long term you're going to ride it through. It's not pleasant, and I've been there myself, to have a property that you purchased for 200,000 and now it's worth 100,000. I've experienced that. But if you're telling yourself quality and long term, and you just weather the storm, ride it out, as long as you didn't make horrible decisions along the way.
Yeah. It's. I mean, you have to try to fail in real estate.
Exactly.
People do by being careless, and
that's exactly right.
Yeah, these are your points. I love it. Keep going. I don't want to interrupt.
And I think the third point. I think the third point. So those are, regardless, that's always true. I think it's just more true nowadays when we're trying to figure out what to do. The third point, in my mind, is I have seen in periods of time there was uncertainty in the market. We are in that era. We are in a time of uncertainty. People at large, not just in real estate related, when it comes to uncertainty, they hunker down. They sit on the sideline. They do nothing. Why? Because they're waiting for what? To see where the wind is blowing, right? And I get it.
Yeah, we do it.
Exactly. But what's interesting enough is that during what I've seen over the years, when in times of uncertainty, those who were undecisive, those who were, very decisive, in the times where most people are undecisive, really exploit the opportunity. We've seen it in the crash of 2008, and we've seen it through the first few months of COVID, right? There was another time that I've seen it, maybe something more specifically, I can't remember right now, but I could tell the decisive ones, understanding how they can leverage the time in their favor, right? Kind of benefit.
I love what you're saying, because it's very prudent for right now. All of your points, none of them were about location or property manager or fundraising or whatever. The one great word you used is hedge. And I've said this before, like when you're in real estate, you're a miniature hedge fund. You're
so right.
Right? Like
you're using my own terms. I don't use it with people because I think it's confusing it, but that's what I tell myself.
I mean, and yeah, thank you. But the definition of hedge is like you're getting ahead of it. So like just from this, I can tell you very data oriented, you follow those systems. And now there are so many people that, looming recession, what's going to happen? Here, I'll give you an exact example. There's people that I've talked to for the past 3 and 4 years that want to invest in real estate. They keep missing the boat. And now people are more afraid than anything. I'm like, no, this is the boat. Like, you have to do something here. So you're talking to people right now. You're communicating. I mean, I don't. You have a large network, and then there's people that rely on you. So what are they doing? Are they buying? How are they hedging?
So, interesting. When things started slowing down in July, right? And immediately I felt it. As a business, the number of customers I work with, the number of customers didn't change. The number of how active they are slowed down. I got it. I knew exactly where I'm heading. It was no surprise. Very quickly, I know we're getting there. But what I also kind of maybe to connect it to the point of time of uncertainty is that, and it's happening as we speak. I knew times of uncertainty. First of all, people like they hunker down and then wait. Typically, right? This is where you want to push forward. That's fine if you're not there. But also, people don't stay in the time of uncertainty for many, many, many months. So that means if we started in July, we are 5 months into this in times of uncertainty. Eventually, with rates going up, people are saying, okay, this is the new norm, the new standard. I gotta find a way how to get back in, right? So you're always going to have the early adopters, so to speak, and people that are coming back. So starting the past, about a month ago, from very active up until July, things they didn't quiet down completely. I could see less activity, which for us is also a good thing. There's time to do other things, in the business to improve systems and processes and applications and all of that. So that's usually in marketing. That's usually what I do during those times. And now for the past month, all of a sudden, there's uptick of people coming back, new ones and the existing ones. And they're all asking, first of all, is it a good time, right? And I tell them exactly what we talked about. I say, listen, here's where we are. Here's what I think we should do. Now, the way we execute is we try to make aggressive offers. I'll be very honest. I'm not trying to lowball anybody, but with the interest rate pushing the cash flow in a way down, it's challenging. Now, do we get everything? No. But do we get some of those aggressive offers? Absolutely. I don't care.
I got to pause you because this is so important. How many offers are you throwing out there?
Many.
What are you get? Are you, what's a number you can say? At least you're getting past an offer and they're entertaining.
Yeah, I would say that we put somewhere between, on a slow week, 20 offers, on a busy week, 50 offers out, right? Knowing, I tell my investors, like, listen, I don't care how many offers we put, although it's time consuming, but we're not going to get, I only want the 1 out of 10.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But almost always we get a feedback, an answer, right? Even a no. Right. So sometimes it starts, I'll just give you one example. We made an offer on a house outside of Kansas City, in the metro of Kansas City, asking. They already dropped it, once or twice. It's now at 250. We offer 225. At 250 is a great deal, right? Let's just start there. At 225, we knew we're just gonna, use this opportunity for a better deal. Back and forth, my investor came to 235. They came down to 240. Unfortunately, we were not able to close that gap. Nobody wanted to close that gap. Only 5,000. It feels so.
Yeah, so
but,
small.
Yeah, I know. But maybe what is going to happen now is a week later. That all happened last week. We're going to reconnect.
Right.
The house is still there. I only need each party to contribute 2,500, and we're done. So
you're speaking my language because first of all, you're not seeing these properties. Are you doing an LOI or a full-blown agreement? Full-blown agreement of sale. Yeah. So on the time,
I want the attention.
Full attention. I love it. You skipped over the time part. All right. I'm a real estate agent. I manage a fund. I put out a lot of offers. This isn't a 5-minute thing.
No.
This takes time to get the tax record, this, that, whatever. Put everything in there. And if it's a agent represented property, right? You got to compliance.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes it's 4 or 5 hours, maybe more than that in a week.
Absolutely.
Probably more than that. So, all right, I wanted to point that out. And then getting a position. You're bringing up the most important thing. People don't have the balls to just throw out an offer. Throw out an offer, get a response. But if you get a position and they say yes, get on the plane. Yeah. Play ball.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'll tell you one other thing that I've learned that's really important when I am aggressive with offers. I coach, I have local agents in different parts of the country, and they are representing my buyers, right? So let's say an agent in St. Louis is representing my buyers. So it's not a random agent. This is handpicked person in St. Louis who works closely with us for years, for example. And we have multiple such agents. But I have learned with even the best agents I've worked over my career, and I've worked closely, tightly with well over 70 agents. And I'm not talking about a one-off. I'm talking about closely. It's anywhere from 20 deals that we've done to 200 or maybe 150 deals, right?
I mean, that's like 20 million to 50 million.
Yeah, exactly. So those are a really close relationship. We know each other well. I always tell my client, I always tell the agent, let me explain to you, and you need to explain this to the seller or the seller's edge, why I'm making this offer. The explanation, this is like a secret sauce. It's not a secret sauce, but, if you use that, I want the other party to swallow a bitter pill. I really need to help the other party to swallow that pill, and I need my agent to deliver that message. Why am I doing? Here's the reason, right? And I know it's a bitter pill, but when I help my agent explain it to the seller's agent, who can explain it to the seller, it helps, right? But if we don't take this time, and because we think just the agent is going to do, they're not going to come up. They need to be empowered.
Coached. They need to understand.
They need to be coached and explain, right? Yeah. They'll just move. And if you take 5 minutes, say, this is the reason, and I want you to deliver those. those explanations to the seller side so they understand where I'm coming from. You know what? I'm not saying it's always going to work, but it's going to make, it's like, it's like oiling the message, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm assuming you do other things in there, like maybe you have a bank statement or like, hey, here's our resume, here's who we are, just to grease the wheels
Yeah,
even more.
absolutely. Sometimes whatever is necessary to kind of grease the wheels properly, but we always want to make sure at least the offer with either the proof of funds or the loan approval is
ready
perfect,
to go.
right? Exactly.
So, all right, I gotta ask, how many agents, what markets, what types of properties?
Okay, so we have currently mainly active in 6 metros. Those are Nashville, Tennessee, Greater Nashville, Tennessee, Greater Kansas City, St. Louis, Missouri, Birmingham, Alabama, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Right, those are the main 6 at the moment. Not all of them are performing, are active, that much, just because some of the like Texas markets are challenging with cash flow due to property taxes and insurance rates compared to the others. We do have probably 4 or 5 other metros that we have, I call it the inactive teams, that the teams are there, the market is not there numbers wise. And if the market will get there, I can, with one phone call,
press a button.
Activate my secret agent. So
military style.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny that you mentioned it. All those inactive markets and teams, I keep in touch with them. Like I take the time to call, to check up, maybe every 6 months, every once in a while, to maintain the relationship. Although we have some relationship ongoing with other, like properties that are held by our clients, I still maintain those relationships because I'm always I know there's going to be a day, or I'm assuming they're going to, first of all, it's the right thing to do. And right. I like those people to work with them, right? It's not a hard thing for me to do because I like those people to begin with. Yeah. And I also like to hear what they have to say, what's going on in the market. But also I know that there could be like, all right, we're ready to go.
Ready to go. There's 20 million to close.
Yeah. So I feel like it's like a secret organization here after this conversation.
Now, honestly, though, that's the way to do it. Listen, nobody knows look, people on the podcast too, no one knows what you're really doing every day. You're crazy. Everybody on this podcast, you're crazy. You're trying to run your life. Most of the people who are really aggressively in real estate, it's a 24-hour-a-day business. You have to have systems. It's really difficult to maintain a personal life, but it's a sacrifice, and you coach people into doing it. I mean, simply do it, right? That's
simply do it. That's it.
That's why it's there. How about the clientele? Actually, the agents, the real estate agents that you're working with, and some of those folks. Just curious. Some more active than others. Are there agents that you've done 50 deals with in a specific market you could talk about with specific buyers? Maybe it's one buyer buying a bunch of stuff, but just want to hear something like that.
So all the agents, I have the smallest agent I work with these days, we've done maybe 15, right? And we just started a year ago. That's maybe the smallest one. The biggest ones are probably I'd say 150 each, right?
Million.
No, 150 houses. No, more than 150 million.
Well, then we got to get there one day, right?
Yeah.
No, that's crazy.
Talk about when I say 15, I mean 15, properties. When I say 150,
transactions.
Yeah, transactions. 150. That's
I mean, still though, that's 150 transactions. That's 25, 30 something million in deals closed.
I would say more.
Yeah.
I'd say we're talking about.
Oh yeah, you're in bigger markets. They're not 100,000, 200,000 a unit.
They are, let's say, 250. So we're talking about what? Almost 40 million in one market.
That's what I wanted to drag out.
$40 million, in a big, so a smaller market, till now would be maybe 5 million. That's a small market, worth of real estate.
But the point that I was trying to get to is that data right there that you have with that many closings in one market with just a couple agents, that's invaluable for your company, yourself, your investors.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, you got a good matrix in your head about all the things that are going on. I don't want to run out of time. I got to ask you about just the landscape for next year. What's your crystal ball? I ask people about rates, what they think is going to happen. Can you share what you're thinking?
Yeah. Here's my take. I should have maybe added it when we talked about earlier with the quality and long term. The one thing that we do, we have an Excel that I've put together more than 10 years ago. Everybody uses, it's like our business template for a rental property. Everybody uses it. All the investors, all the clients of ours, all the realtors.
I want a copy of that.
No problem, with pleasure. But what I tell the agents when I coach them and the clients, I say, run the analysis as you always have done so with the current interest rate, right? Now, when the analysis is set and you're looking at the number, take a moment, put instead of 6.5% in the interest rate box, put 5, right? Just for the moment and see how the numbers behave with the 5. And the reason I tell them I want them to put 5 because I want them to see when things will go back to normal, right? What is normal? 5 for me is normally what happened over the history. I think we're going to get there. How soon we're going to get there, I don't really know, but my assumption, and that's what I tell my clients, is when you make this offer, you're not marrying the 6.5. My guess, anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, 3 years, guess it will go down. You'll have an opportunity to refinance. And now look at the numbers, right? So use the 5%, use 4.5. You want to use 5.5 even, and then see how the numbers work. Mentally, it's a mental exercise, but it's really important because if we are just, we have as investors, as people, we're like so focused on what's in front of us right now.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm
not buying a piece of property for tomorrow. By the way, the Excel that I mentioned, I don't analyze it for the first day, month, or year. I analyze it over 30 years, and I take periodic averages for the first 5, 10, 15, and 20. I want to see how this property performed at least in the first 5 years.
Right.
That's what interests me. I don't care. I do care, but I'm not focused on year one, which is many times not a good year.
No, that's brilliant. That's good to share, especially with people on the fence. There's good deals to be made, and there's good banks that are willing to loan to good people on good deals.
Yep.
It is like, there's so many people I just have on the fence that are like, I don't want to do it. Now's not the right time. What's going to happen to me? You don't need 5 deals in the next 5 months. You just need 1, right? Or 2, or you'll eventually figure these things out. But yeah, they're saying, interest rates will go down sometime Q3 or Q4, or maybe never, right? Like, you never know what's going to happen. So make the move. Everything that you've been sharing is good. It's motivating to,
I hope so. Yeah.
Definitely. Some fun stuff before we got to go. I love men in the military, men of uniform. How much did your training and your specific ability to withstand pressure and frustration and all of that, because you've lost money before.
I've lost money. Yeah.
Tell me about that. How you got out of it.
Every period that I went through that was extremely stressful, not just regular stress, exceptionally stressful, which there's been at least 3 of them in my adult life. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. The one thing that I've done early on is realize or identified with myself I'm in that challenging phase and seek out help. Now, seeking out help, it doesn't mean I went to seek professional help. That is part of it. Is like telling my surrounding, my network, social network, friends, family, professional people in my life. Everybody's in my life that's close enough. I say, hey, listen, I'm going through a rough patch. I need help. And just talk it through. So I don't know. There's something which I'm not sure if it's because of the military or not that was able to identify early on. I remember it very clearly in the crash of 2008. Very early, I realized there's a problem, like major problem, right? And I acted accordingly. So many things the decision I made came from that realization. I did not hide from it. I did not stuck my head in the. So that was a luck, something I'm blessed to identify it and blessed to seek help. And I think the other thing that is kind of related to it is that I also told myself, and maybe this is maybe karma in life. I told myself, especially since the crash of 2008, anytime I see someone who's down, like going through, even before I had my own situations, I always reach out and say, okay, how can I help you, right? And I remember I made a promise to myself, the beginning of the crash of 2008, I saw a lot of my peers disappearing, right? People who were in similar position to mine, they just vanished. Some of them I saw coming back when things were cleared. Some of them I haven't heard since. And I told myself, every client of mine who's going to call or email or whatever, I'm talking about the crash of 2008, I will pick up the phone, and I may be the one who needs to bash, to put their anger, that's fine, to vent, but maybe I can help that person. Maybe I can steer that person, guide that person. Maybe I can learn something. I'm also in that boat. Maybe I can share something to help. And there is not a single phone call or email that came through that rough patch, and there were not, I'm talking about 2 to 3 years of those unpleasant conversations. I was there. I did not shy away. I did not hide. And let me tell you, it's not fun on a daily, weekly basis getting those phone calls. But then people say, I really appreciate it. Like a while back.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You use the word karma.
Yep.
Listen, we're over time. My producer is going to kill me. But yeah. Dani, you're the best. Everybody, all the information's in the show notes. Get a hold of this man. You heard how great he is. But Dani, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Pleasure.